Somewhere in downtown Portland, there's a park so small you could step over it without noticing. It's only 24 inches across, and guarded, according to local legend, by a resident leprechaun. It's real. It's on the map. And most tourists walk straight past it without ever knowing it's there. That's Portland, in one image. A city that hides its best stuff in plain sight. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll have 14 incredible stops mapped out, and a few of them most tourists never even find. Portland is enveloped in nature, food cart obsessed, and never shy about a political debate. All of that's true. But the city is more than its headlines. Every neighborhood here runs like its own small world, with its own flavors, its own art, its own rhythm. Southeast feels nothing like Northwest, and neither one feels like downtown. The vibrancy running through all of it comes from Portlanders themselves, the reason people keep coming back year after year. Whether you're outdoorsy, a bookworm, a foodie, or just curious, this list covers the essentials. Let's start where Portland starts, outside. One, International Rose Test Garden. Back in 1888, Georgiana Pittock, wife of a Portland publisher, invited her friends and neighbors over to show off their roses in a tent set up in her garden. That casual afternoon became the Portland Rose Society. A few years later, a French dressmaker named Madame Caroline Testout asked a rose breeder in Lyon to name a new variety after her. He agreed, even though he privately thought her choice of seedling was mediocre. The rose took off anyway, and Portland ended up planting nearly 500,000 Caroline Testout bushes along its sidewalks. By 1905, the city boasted 200 miles of rose-lined streets, perfectly timed to welcome visitors to the Lewis and Clark Centennial celebration. That was when the nickname stuck for good, the City of Roses. During World War I, a rose enthusiast named Jesse Curry feared that Europe's unique hybrid roses would be lost during the conflict. He convinced the city to approve a safe haven for them in 1917, and by early 1918, breeders in England were shipping their prized roses across the Atlantic to Portland for safekeeping. The garden was dedicated in June of 1924, and it's been growing ever since. Today, the International Rose Test Garden holds more than 10,000 bushes across 610 varieties, blooming from late May through October, all set inside Washington Park, with Mount Hood rising in the background. It's free to walk through any day of the year, and if you time your trip for late spring, you'll catch the Rose Festival too, complete with parades, concerts, and carnival rides. There's even an award tied to all of this. Since 1996, rose experts from around the world have gathered here every June to judge and crown Portland's best rose, and this city remains the only one in North America that hands out a title like that. 10 years after the award began, the garden itself picked up the Garden of Excellence Award from the World Federation of Rose Societies. And now from roses, it's a short walk to something just as old, but a whole lot taller. 2. Hoyt Arboretum. Hoyt Arboretum bills itself as a living museum, and once you're inside, you understand why. Spread across 190 acres of the West Hills, it holds 2,300 species of trees and shrubs, pulled in from 6 continents, all connected by roughly a dozen miles of trail. You're not looking at a park with some trees in it. You're walking through a collection, arranged species by species, and it takes just as much care to explore as the aisles of a great bookstore. The Arboretum sits inside the same Washington Park complex as the roses, so this isn't a separate trip out of your way. You can walk straight from one to the other, and from there, straight into what's next door. 3. Oregon Zoo. On the southern side of Washington Park, within walking distance of Hoyt Arboretum, is the Oregon Zoo, home to more than 165 species and subspecies of mammals, birds, and insects, from Pacific Northwest natives to animals from far beyond the region. It's part of the same 410-acre Washington Park complex that holds the Roses and the Arboretum, so this whole cluster works as one easy outing. If you're budget conscious, keep an eye out for the zoo's occasional discount days, like Pause and Relax, or complimentary admission for veterans around Veterans Day. So now you've got 3 major stops in one park, connected by walking trails and a free seasonal shuttle. Not a bad way to spend a morning. 4. Forest Park. But once you leave Washington Park behind, Portland's real personality shows up with ferns, moss, and conifers taking over every open space. Forest Park is where that Pacific temperate rainforest environment is on full display, with more than 80 miles of trail winding through a landscape that stays remarkably green throughout the year. First-time visitors should start at the Lower Macleay trailhead. It leads you past the tallest fir tree inside any American city, a Douglas fir standing 242 feet tall, and then onto a structure most people just call the Witch's Castle. Officially, it's the Stone House, a 2-story moss-covered ruin about 3/4 of a mile in from the Lower Macleay parking lot. It looks like something pulled out of a storybook, and it doubles as one of the best hide-and-seek spots you'll ever stumble into. And once you've had your fill of moss and shadow, there's one more piece of Portland's outdoor side worth saving for the end of the day. 5. Mount Tabor Park. Mount Tabor is an extinct volcano sitting right inside southeast Portland, which is not a sentence you get to say about most cities. Locals treat its slopes as a favorite biking spot by day, but the real move is timing your visit for sunset. Depending on where you're standing, you'll either catch Mount Hood peeking through the trees or watch the sun drop behind the downtown skyline. And if you're lucky, there's a bonus waiting for you up there, a pop-up, restored piano sitting out on the hillside with someone playing it for whoever happens to be hiking past. That's the nature side of Portland handled. Roses, trees, animals, forest, and a volcano, all within a short drive of downtown. But if you think this city is just trees and rain, wait until you taste it. 6. Food cart pods. Portland doesn't really do food trucks the way other cities do. Here, the carts stay put, clustered together into pods, so you can sample 5 different cuisines without ever leaving the same block. Pods can range from a couple of carts to sprawling collections with more than 20 vendors, and plenty of them come with covered or heated seating built right in, because this is still the Pacific Northwest, and it does rain. Hawthorne Asylum is one of the most recognizable, named after a 19th century psychiatric hospital, and marked by wrought iron signage and a cartoonish barbed wire fence. It's a great pick for groups with wildly different tastes, and locals love it for the on-site bar, Asylum Spirits, which rotates 42 taps of craft beer alongside cider, wine, and cocktails. It sits just 2 blocks from Cartopia, so you can easily hit both pods in one outing. If you want the biggest spread possible, head to Springwater Cart Park in southeast Portland, the closest thing the city has to a food cart superpod. It's dog-friendly, family-friendly, and home to more than 30 carts representing 15 different countries, plus a full-service bar pouring 18 beers and ciders on tap. For something with more cultural weight behind it, Portland Mercado works as both a food cart pod and a hub for Latin culture and local entrepreneurship, making it one of the most rewarding stops on this entire list. While the main indoor building has been undergoing a massive rebuild following a fire, the outdoor food carts are actively operating at the site. And if you're posted up downtown already, don't skip the Midtown Beer Garden. It's a 3-decade fixture of Portland's cart scene that went through a major renovation, and it now seats more than 300 people across 25 different carts, with a bar cart pouring beer on tap and a stage that hosts its own events. And keep this one in your back pocket too. Tucked just a few blocks from a bookstore that takes up its own city block, you'll find the Cart Blocks pod, serving up cuisines from around the world to anyone browsing nearby. And once your stomach's covered, it's time to talk about what's in the cup. 7. Coffee culture. Stumptown Coffee Roasters is where Portland's third-wave coffee movement really took hold, built entirely around treating coffee like a specialty product instead of a commodity. You'll find their cafes scattered around the city, and their beans quietly powering the menus of independent coffee houses that never bother putting the Stumptown name on the sign out front. Keep an eye on their rotating seasonal drinks. things like salted maple lattes or mint matcha, which shift with the time of year. Then there's the fourth wave, and that's where Nossa Familia comes in. Their focus is on sustainable, ethical coffee production while supporting BIPOC-owned businesses. They source direct trade and family trade beans from trusted growers in Brazil, Guatemala, Nicaragua, Peru, and Ethiopia, helping build strong, lasting relationships with the communities they work with. Walk into any of their locations, and you're not just getting a cup of coffee, you're getting the story of the farm it came from. And while we're on flavour, 2 restaurants deserve a fast mention. Eam is a Thai barbecue spot, built on a self-described deep-fried funk mantra, blending Thai street food and curries with southern classics like hot chicken. And Cannes is where James Beard, award-winning chef Gregory Gourdet, channels his childhood in Haiti into a health-centered menu. The entire kitchen is completely gluten-free and dairy-free, offering incredible vegan dining alongside a genuinely creative zero-proof cocktail list. Reservations for Cannes go fast, so plan ahead. 8. Powell's City of Books. Powell's City of Books has been running since 1971, and it now takes up an entire city block, holding roughly 1 million books across a layout so sprawling that even regulars get turned around inside it. Somewhere in that maze is a dedicated rare books room, and locals will tell you it's less a bookstore and more a landmark you plan your whole day around. It's officially the largest independent bookstore on Earth, and once you've walked the aisles yourself, that claim stops sounding like an exaggeration. Powell's isn't the only chapter in Portland's book scene, though. Third Eye Books holds the city's richest collection of exclusively Black, Indigenous, and people of color literature, spanning history, fiction, and an entire section built for kids. Co-owner Michelle Lewis summed up the experience of visiting many bookstores as a person of color. You get a shelf or a box. Third Eye turns that experience on its head. Instead of a small token section, you'll find entire shelves celebrating Toni Morrison, Maya Angelou, and many of the owner's favorite Black, Indigenous, and POC authors. If you'd rather read with a drink in hand, Rose City Book Pub keeps oversized couches, a full calendar of poetry readings, trivia nights, and live music running right alongside its shelves. Between the three, Portland's literary side rivals its food scene for depth. 9. Portland Art Museum. But if your trip lines up with the first Thursday of the month, clear your afternoon. From 10 in the morning until 7 at night, the Portland Art Museum drops its admission fee for everyone, no exceptions. Any other day, it's still free for anyone 17 and under. The museum's rotating exhibitions have carried real weight, too. Past shows have featured Frida Kahlo and Guillermo del Toro, and there's a second life happening over at its Tomorrow Theatre in southeast Portland, which mirrors the deal with its own free programming lineup on those same first Thursdays. For a city this size, getting genuine big-name art for free once a month isn't something you find everywhere. 10. Pioneer Courthouse Square. Locals don't call Pioneer Courthouse Square a plaza or a landmark. They call it Portland's living room. It pulls in more than 11 million visitors a year, which for a single city block is a staggering number. And it earns that traffic by being genuinely useful. You can grab lunch from a food cart, catch the Max train, or just sit and watch the city move around you. In summer, the square hosts Noon Tunes, a free lunchtime concert series with dancing and food vendors right in the middle of the workday. It's the center of downtown, not a detour, and most people pass through it without ever planning to. 11. Tom McCall Waterfront Park plus Mill Ends Park. Now if you follow the river downtown, you'll hit Tom McCall Waterfront Park, 1.5 miles of green running alongside the Willamette River. It's the city's go-to spot for summer festivals. It's home to the Salmon Street Springs Fountain and the Japanese-American Historical Plaza, and if you time it for spring, it's the best seat in town for cherry blossoms. But a few blocks off that same stretch is officially the smallest urban park in the United States. Mill Ends Park is just 24 inches across. Established after a local journalist got tired of staring at an empty hole outside his window and decided to plant something in it instead. Over the years, it's hosted actual events, a miniature Ferris wheel, and according to local legend, a resident leprechaun who occasionally ggets blamed for whatever mischief turns up there. You could walk past it in half a second, and most people do, so don't be most people. 12. Downtown Neighborhoods Mini Tour. Step outside the very center of downtown, and Portland splits into neighborhoods that each feel like their own city. The Pearl District leans upscale, with bars, boutiques, and galleries packed into old warehouse buildings. Old Town Chinatown moves at a completely different pace, home to streetwear shops, the Saturday Market, and the Lansu Chinese Garden, a quiet, formal space tucked into all that street energy. And over in Northwest, also known as Nob Hill, you'll find dense shopping and dining streets stretching right up to the edges of Forest Park and the historic Pittock Mansion above it. Beyond those three, the city's core just keeps unfolding. Goose Hollow is home to Providence Park and Portland's soccer crowd. The Central East Side mixes family-friendly attractions with shopping and nightlife just across the river. And Lloyd holds both the Oregon Convention Center and the Trailblazers. None of these need a full day. You can dip into each one for an hour, grab a coffee, browse a shop, and move on. And by the end, you'll have seen more of Portland's actual character than most people manage in a full week downtown. Once the sun goes down, though, this city shows you a completely different side of itself. 13. Live music scene. No matter what night you're out in Portland, there's a good chance you'll find live music. And it comes with a wide range, from cozy jazz clubs tucked away underground and gritty punk dive bars to beautiful historic theatres. The city's music scene has something for every taste. Portland's music alumni list reads like a greatest hits playlist. The Decemberists, Sleater Kinney, and Pink Martini came out of here, alongside solo acts like Esperanza Spalding, Elliott Smith, and RAC. This isn't a city that produced one famous band and coasted. It kept producing them, decade after decade. The venue that ties it all together is the Crystal Ballroom downtown. It's known citywide for its floating dance floor, a genuine one-of-a-kind feature that sits beneath vaulted ceilings and grand chandeliers, making the room feel a century older than it plays. James Brown, The Grateful Dead, Tina Turner, Marvin Gaye, and Liz Phair have all played that exact room. Downstairs, Lola's room hosts smaller acts, and Ringler's pub keeps the McMenamin's beer flowing for anyone who wants to stick around after the show ends. Whatever night you're in town, there's a real chance something's happening on that floor. And that's not a coincidence. That's just how Portland runs. 14. First Thursday Art Walk. Save your last night for First Thursday, held every month across Old Town and the Pearl District. Galleries stay open late. The public wanders in and out to mingle directly with the artists, and most spaces pour free wine and hand out appetizers just for showing up. Performers and sidewalk artists spill out into the street, and the whole neighborhood turns into one long, wandering, open house. If your dates don't line up, Portland has 2 backups built in. Last Thursday runs the same idea on Northeast Alberta Street, on the last Thursday of every month, with gallery shows, sidewalk vendors, and live music at spots like Antler and Blind Insect. And First Friday does it in the Central East Side, often inside the artist's actual working studios. All 3 cost nothing. All 3 happen every single month. And all 3 are the kind of night that makes you feel like you live here instead of just visiting. 14 stops, and we didn't even need to charge you for most of them. Roses that trace back to a dressmaker in France, a rainforest with a castle hidden inside it, a volcano with a piano sitting on top of it, and that tiny park, the one with the leprechaun. That's the thing about this city. The big stuff is easy to find. The good stuff takes a little more looking, and now you know exactly where to look. If this helped you plan your trip, drop a comment with which stop is going on your list first,